Welcome to the KW Next Gen podcast. I'm your host, Kaitlyn Pennington, and part of the KW Next Gen team. During these episodes, we will have the chance to talk with young adults who are living out their big dreams. KW Next Gen is a C3 nonprofit founded by Gary Keller of Keller Williams. We empower and equip the next generation of young leaders and entrepreneurs to live big lives, to take action. Welcome to the KW Next Gen podcast. I'm your host, Kaitlyn Pennington, and part of the Next Gen team. Here, we will hear stories from young adults who are living big lives and attaining really big goals. KW Next Gen is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded by Gary Keller of Keller Williams. Our mission is to empower and equip the next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs with the tools needed to remove limiting beliefs, take action, and live a big life. All of KW Next Gen is KW Next Gen is KW Next Gen. KW Next Gen is founded on the models and systems of Quantum Leap, the material that Gary Keller has been teaching for years. It helps people understand how to build big businesses, to live really fulfilling lives, to understand financial literacy, and remove all of those blockages. So come along with us as we talk with many of our young adults who are putting these. So join us as we talk with our young adults who are implementing these practices and really accomplishing their big dreams at a young age. We'll also have a chance to talk with our instructors, our board members, and our coaches who are pouring into the next generation and making a really big impact on their community and our world at large. So let's jump right in. Hi there. Welcome to the KW Next Gen podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
So good. I am excited to have this conversation with you. I know you've been involved with KW Next Gen for a little while now, and I'm just excited to see and hear where you are and what you're doing now. So let's start just from the very beginning. What is your name? Where are you from? And how old are you?
I'm Tamina. I'm from San Diego, California, and I'm 29 years old. Well, from LA, but I live in San Diego right now.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, I grew up in Southern California as well. So it has a very special place in my heart. It's a beautiful. I grew up in Ventura, and then I went to college in Long Beach. So kind of on like opposite sides of you. Yeah, or like a little north of you.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic. So jumping right in to you, what is KW Next Gen and how are you involved or how have you been involved?
So KW Next Gen to me is basically like a community and also a program where youth can sort of figure out who they are, what they want in life, what they want to do with their lives, and then get clear on that, and then also have the guidance and support of KW. And so that means seminars, coaching programs, and then also resources like scholarship funds as well. That's been my experience. Curious if you would define it differently though.
No, that is a great definition. You encompassed everything that we offer, which is so great. And I know that you've been involved in those different pieces. So that's what we're going to explore and dive into.
Yeah, I have done, I think probably all of it. So that means going to seminars. I went to one that I think you spoke at it, and then also Gary Keller spoke at it. And that was that was a longer one, like a few-day one. And then with Scott Labar, he helped me to write my vision and mission and values. And then I went through the application process, met with a coach as well, Kristen Carter, for different sessions. So I had her to guide me, and then I applied for the funds and I was granted the funds, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you guys again.
That's so great. So the process really is, attending that first Quantum Leap. And so you attended QL Summit, I believe, the 3-day event that is our flagship event. Then there's Quantum Leaps that go on all over the country all the time that I know Scott, as you mentioned, puts on some in his area, in the San Diego area. And then, that qualifies young adults like yourself to go through the 3 months of coaching to be able to then get a lot out of the coaching, which we'll dive into, but also then if the financial need is there, then that also allows you to be eligible to apply for the scholarship as well, which Tamina has been the recipient of. So let's rewind to the beginning, because that's like your whole journey in a nutshell. When was your very first Quantum Leap? And what was your experience maybe going into it, or what did you know about it? What did you not know about it? That type of thing.
First, summit or?
Yeah, the summit, or I'm not sure. Did you take any of the shorter classes before that?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Whichever. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So Scott was teaching that. So
Okay.
I used to volunteer at Just in Time Foster Youth Center, and
Okay.
so that's where I met Scott. He was working there as well, and
Hmm.
then he told me about the program, and I was very skeptical. He told me about the program. I was like, oh, cool, sounds cool. Like I'll share it with the foster youth, and that made sense to me. Like let me share it
Yeah.
with them. And then but then he was like, no, you should do it, and I was like, me, what? And then he was like, yeah, you should do it. You're under 29, right? And I was like, yeah, I am. So he told me about it, and then I was very skeptical. I was not like sure. I was like, okay, wait, so I get free coaching, and then I get to apply for any sort of educational opportunity, and then I could potentially get awarded funds. And I was very skeptical, so I asked him like a million questions over email, and he's like, I can tell that you're someone that makes decisions thoughtfully, but when you do, you kind of go all in. And he was right, because I did end up going all in with it. So that's how I heard about it, and I did take his shorter courses. So that's where I learned how to sort of think and come up with my mission, vision, and values. And I really struggled with that at first. It was very hard to, it was the first time I had to actually decide what is my vision and my mission and values. And it's really good that I had that opportunity, because I feel like I would have delayed that for a very long time if I didn't have to like sort of come up with it in that moment. Because it was in my head somewhere, just like putting it on paper kind of helped with that. But yeah, so that was a great experience.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot there that I want to expand on, which is really neat. Well, first, I think that it's a really good for anyone listening or watching this, it's a good reminder too that that like people can be skeptical, and that's okay, because it almost sounds too good to be true, to be honest. Like I find that to be the case when I'm sharing this information of like, hey, if you attend these classes, then you're eligible to apply for coaching and it's completely free. And they're like, what are you trying to sell me? And especially since we're under the Keller Williams umbrella, they're like, are you trying to get me to buy or sell a house? Are you trying to get me to be an agent? Those types of things. And people that are not in that boat and aren't following that path feel like, again, it's just too good to be true. And also scholarships, in most of the time, scholarships are, when people think of them, they're to like a traditional university, or they're to something like that when you're younger and it's, coming right out of high school or something like that. But our scholarships are so unique where you can use them throughout your 20s. Of course, they can go to traditional school if that is where you are in life, but it can be any educational opportunity, like you said, where people use these scholarships for conferences, or they use it for additional coaching, or they're able to use it for a wider variety of things. And again, it's like people are like, what are you actually going to sell me here? This sounds like it's too good. And yet it's really not. It's because it is a nonprofit, and because we are supported by donors. The scholarship's not guaranteed, but that is an option for people that follow the path. And then we do try to provide the coaching to as many people that are applying and are interested, so that they can really move forward with their goals and their dreams. And yeah, aside from our QL Summit, which is a paid ticketed event, the rest of the classes throughout the year are put on because our instructors are generous enough to donate their time and to put them on for free. And so yeah, I understand why people are skeptical, because they're like, this is a really good deal.
Exactly.
What's the catch?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally understandable.
That's why I'm glad I can share my story now and share that it's not too good to be true. It does exist. It is real, because yeah, like I tell everyone about it now, like all my friends and family that are.
I love that. Yeah. And sometimes it's almost okay to like come from that. You're like, I've been in your shoes before, in the same way that like, I was with Keller Williams for a couple of years, and I actually didn't know about this organization, and I was an agent. And so I can always put myself back in those shoes of like, I get it. If you haven't heard of us, it's totally okay. But once I heard about us, I applied, I moved my life across the country, and I like made it my full-time job. So it's like, once you understand what it is, then you potentially can be really passionate and fully all in, like you said.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to start that way, and that's okay. Or if anyone's out there that's trying to share this information and someone's a little like, what are you talking about? That's fine too. You can convert into the next Tamina or Kaitlyn, kind of thing, into someone that's like, oh, I get it. This is a really great opportunity. What did it feel like to you to like put those things down on paper? Or if you want to share your mission or some of your values and beliefs that you explored.
Yeah, it felt kind of like I was saying, it was hard. It was very hard to do at first, because you kind of just have to decide. And for someone like me, I like to keep things open-ended, and I like to keep my options open, but it was good for me to decide, and it still is a little open-ended. So my mission is to inspire others towards financial freedom, personal empowerment, and holistic well-being grounded in spirituality and an understanding of the mind and body. So it is very open-ended. What it means to me is just like living a sustainable, healthy, successful life and showing others how to do the same. But I don't know exactly what that will look like yet. And so, but either way, just like understanding which components are important to me, rewriting it. ChatGPT like came out at that time, so I was able to also get some guidance there. Yeah. So yeah, it was great. It was a great opportunity to be able to do that. And I feel like every step of the program helped me to kind of force me to get clear on something. Like even the application process, I had to get clear on what I would want to use the funds on and like decide within that time frame. And then I also like the coaching helped me decide what do I want to spend my time on every day. And so yeah, every part of the process helped me with that.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a really great point that like your mission, the whole point of a mission is that it doesn't have an expiration date. It does not have like an end point. It is like the entire reason why you wake up every morning from now until you're 95. You know, it can't be fully accomplished and finished. It's what really keeps us going. And so I think that that's why it can feel kind of open-ended is that, and, you know, I'm not telling you anything that you probably don't know because you've been through the programs, but people that are listening, it's like a mission for your life. When you really think about that, like, why am I on this planet? Why am I alive? Some people live their whole life not really even asking it or examining it. And then others of us that are very curious, we spend our whole life trying to figure it out. And to then be able to take all the things that you're interested in, all the things you're passionate about, all your skills and all your talents, and like funnel it down into one sentence or one short kind of like statement of why am I here on this planet and what is unique to me than any other person on this entire planet? And I think that's challenging, but also really beautiful to be able to say, like, this is why I wake up every morning. And this is my chance to like really put it into a statement of why I'm here. And yours is very beautiful. So with that, do you want to expand at all about like what you want to do with your mission or how that guides you on a regular basis? Any of that you want to share?
Totally. Yeah. So because my mission has these different components like empowerment, holistic well-being, spirituality, understanding the mind and body, and also financial freedom, it's really about, I think it's just about life balance. And so right now I'm living it. Like I'm living, trying to achieve all of these things and become the healthiest version, become empowered, become more visible. Like something like this is not, you know, natural for me, but, and then like build my finances and build wealth. So all those things I'm in the thick of actually building it, and I'm trying to do it in a sustainable way, and I'm also learning and teaching along the way. So all of my goals are related to these different components, which I wouldn't want it any other way because I am someone that values balance, and I'm not someone that is going to go super deep on one area of my life and just like let the others go. But I know some people do, and that's amazing also, but for me that's just not my path. So it's about having to balance all of the different areas, and then just figuring out how to get there, because right now I'm in the learning and being part of it, and then I want to be in the guiding and teaching part of it in the future, if that makes sense. So it's a mix of learning about holistic health and like I got my health coach certification, building my sales skills so that when I am more entrepreneurial, I can then, you know, use those skills in that setting, like learning more about what were some of the other things, like learning about even just like social media, content creation. I did my yoga teacher training. I know you did that as well, right? Yeah. So just building these areas of my life. Not sure if that exactly answers the question, but
it absolutely does. And I think that that's like, I mean, you're 29 and we talk a lot, like Gary says that there's a book that's called The Defining Decade. And what we do in our 20s oftentimes sets us up for the rest of our life. It doesn't mean that it's not going to continue to change and we're not going to continue to grow, but you're in those like planting those really big, strong seed phase so that they can continue to grow as you get older. And I think that's just so neat. And yes, absolutely. Just a little bit that we know about each other. You're speaking my language for sure. I come from, you know, the yoga wellness background and try to live it on a regular basis. But I also think that all that you're saying, things tend to like evolve in different ways, but the root of it is still who you are. And the root of it is still your mission. So for example, my mission for my life is to explore the world fully and to become the most evolved version of myself while inspiring others to do the same. And that has taken shape in forms of teaching yoga and fitness classes. It has taken shape in traveling the world and volunteering. It has taken shape in my position here at KW NextGen, where I, guide young adults that are just about a decade younger than me through their 20s now that I've gotten out of them. It comes across in reading about a new article and sharing it with my family. Like whatever it is, I'm always expanding and then helping and hoping and helping other people to expand as well. And yet you can't put that into a box. You can't put that into a job description. You can't put that into even one career path for that matter. But yet it still has the commonality of like, this is what I feel like really shapes me and then how it shapes my decisions throughout life. And that's what I'm hearing when I hear yours is like, who knows all the different avenues that you're going to have a chance to take this in. And you're learning the tactical skills of sales and social media and finance and teaching and all of those, so that then you can take your passion for sustainability and yoga and wellness and all of that and put it into the world in a really like purposeful way. And I think that's like just a recipe for such huge success on your terms and whatever that success looks like for you. Because like you said, you're like, balance is important and that you don't want to like let go of one part of your life and only focus on another.
Thank you. And it's so nice to hear yours as well. I didn't know that yours was open-ended like mine, so that's great to hear. And it does, I do see that in you. And I also like saw that you like to travel a lot too. So just that expanding and exploring it's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that also. Yeah, sometimes I hear, mission statements are something that we grow through. And honestly, like I have reworked it or I have thought through it. I've done this exercise time and time again. I've taught it. And really, this is like the first one that I came up with. And it has stayed really true to me. And I know that some people's mission statement in some ways that it's taught, there's some more like tactical skills of like exactly how you're going to do these things. But what's really important is like the mission statement resonates with you, that you're like, this really encompasses who I am and why I wake up every morning. And my mission statement does that for me. And it encompasses all these different areas of my life and puts it into a sentence that says like, yeah, this is really how I feel like I contribute to the world. And it doesn't have to make sense to someone else, in my opinion. It's clear enough where people get a gist, but really it doesn't have to like spark joy in them the way that it sparks joy in me, in the same way that like if your mission statement speaks to you, that's what's really important because you're the one living it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always make perfect sense to everybody else, or you can always explain it to someone else, kind of like I did, but you don't have to explain it to yourself when it's a true mission statement of who you are.
I love that. Thank you for that. Because I feel like when I was reading other people's mission statements, when I was writing them in that course, everyone had a very specific vision. So it's really nice to hear yours. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah. And a lot of things, a lot of people say this, but like we date our mission statement, we don't have to marry it. And I think that's too, that some people that are just writing it for the first time or just starting out, I love it because it takes form everywhere from my mission for my life is to make $100,000 this year, and I'm like, okay, I love that that's a mission, but that's actually a goal. And that's probably not your entire point of being on this planet for like the rest of your life, but it's a starting point and it's a great thing to concentrate on. And then if you pull on that string, you're like, why do you want to make that money? Who do you want to help? How do you want to influence people? What would that money mean to you? How would you use that money? And then you start getting to the root cause of like your true mission and what's really important to you, rather than like that tactical skill that actually is more like a goal, which is a great goal, but it usually is rooted in something deeper, which is all what Quantum Leap teaches us, which is cool.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also you and I clearly could probably nerd out all day on like wellness stuff, but like, that's the cool thing that I always highlight for people that are asking me, like, what is Quantum Leap or what is the coaching for, professional coaching, what exactly? And really it's like, the cool thing is all of this is rooted in all like that balance that you said, that, there's sections about, yes, your finances and your business, but it also is sections about your health and your relationships, because, you can make all the money in the world. We know a lot of people out in the world that are very, very wealthy, but maybe are really lacking those relationships or the character that they bring into the world, or the generosity piece, or the health piece, right? Lots of us have seen people that have huge bank accounts, but like their health is just really diminishing, and it's like you can't really fully enjoy that wealth if you don't have your health. So
definitely,
it's important
that's
to
what
have
I love about that. Like you can use, or you can decide that you want to pursue anything with KW. Like you can, if it's, as long as it resonates with you and it's important to you and there's some educational opportunity attached to it. I love that, because I wasn't encouraged to do that growing up. Like I have an Indian background, so it was just, go to school, get good grades, go to college. But my parents are supportive. But yeah, like I don't think, I think it was new for me to realize, oh, I can invest in other areas of my life too. So I love that you guys do that.
Yeah, and that's awesome too, because like if you are raised in a little bit more of the traditional, like what you exactly just said, go to school, get an education, get a job, that is a great foundation. But because Gary Keller wrote this material, and yes, he has chosen real estate as his like main focus, but ultimately he's an entrepreneur. He's an author, he's a coach, he has invested in lots of other businesses. And so that's woven into the fabric of Quantum Leap, of like career and school are an avenue, and a lot of times there's lots of different ways that can take shape, but also it's very entrepreneurial. And I think our world is turning more and more entrepreneurial too, definitely like your generation, the generations that's coming after us, like because people can start businesses, somebody can have an idea, and because of the internet and because of, especially with AI and just technology in general, a young person can take an idea and turn it into a lucrative business realistically, rather than just a few short generations ago. It was like you were born into a family, you went to one kind of school or another, you were taught by your parents, maybe a trade or something like that. And that may still be the case for a lot of people around the world. But there's also this evolution of us being able to integrate lots of different interests that we have and turn it into our career. Not just hobbies. Now, maybe girls like you and I, a few generations ago, could have these hobbies, but it would just be taking care of our families or our community immediately with our health and wellness, where now you can put it out to the internet and reach people across the entire world and turn it into a business too. So I think that that's what's really cool too, is it expands your mind. It allows you to be like, okay, here are the skills that I was raised with, and now how do I plus that? How do I increase that? How do I outgrow that even? Which sounds like you're definitely doing.
Yeah, agreed. That's awesome. And thank you. It's great that we can pursue so many different things now.
So let's dig in a little bit in terms of, and you're kind of a few steps past taking QL, you've done the coaching. Are there still some of the tactics that you learned, or maybe that you worked with your coach on, that you still implement today?
So because I've applied like 4 different times, I've redone my mission, vision, values a few times, which has actually been really helpful. So every 6 months or every year or so, I'm redoing the entire thing, making sure, like seeing like where I'm at with the goals and priorities and strategies that I had before. So there's that. Also, from meeting with my coach, she taught me kind of how to manage my time. Like she saw in me similar things to her, where like we are very multi-passionate and have a lot of things we want to pursue, but then structurally and foundationally, it's hard to sort of manage and build that kind of structure to do that. And our energy fluctuates. Yeah, I'm sure you understand. So she helped me to like kind of map out my calendar and like allow for things like even like my menstrual cycle affecting my energy that week or that month. So that helped me to be like, okay, I don't have to do it in maybe a rigid way where every day I wake up and I focus on this and then this and then this, because that never has worked for me. So just like having permission to be who I am and finding ways to work with the way that I am was really helpful. And it's still something that I do today, and like making it fun kind of for my personality.
Yeah.
Do you have the same or a similar
struggle? I just like feel that at my core. Like absolutely. And you said Kristen Carter was your coach, right? Yeah. And I think that that's like, I just love that you were able to work with her on such a personal level. And I think that like most of the coaches really do try to learn more about the young adult and then be like, because that would be a different coaching conversation if she had coached, she actually coaches for other people, but like for a guy or for someone that did wake up every day and kind of was like, I'm very regimented, I like a structure, every day looks the same type of thing, it would be a very different experience and a different conversation. But I love that she was able to like meet you where you're at, and I totally agree. Like I always say to everyone, like variety is the spice of life. And I liked that multi-passionate. I feel like I've heard that, but I'm definitely going to use it more often. So I love that. And I think that that's really great. I mean, there are people in the world that like are really have more of the personality type to like zero in on one thing, which is great. And I think focusing on something so that you don't get completely distracted and never make progress, that is something that QL has helped me do, that it's like focus on something. But on the flip side, I think it's like it can also still change and evolve, or accepting ourselves, as you said, like waking up each morning and having different levels of energy or different desires or anything. The more I actually have leaned into that as I've gotten older and understanding, like, as you brought up, like as a woman, like I say, like we're 28 different people, throughout the month, and
Exactly.
And that's just reality. That's just science, dive right into it, anyone listening. And so meeting ourselves every morning and expecting, and that's the same for, even for males or, any gender whatsoever, we are different people each day. And meeting ourselves and understanding that some days we may have more motivation, some days we need to like, scale it back a little bit, some days we have tons of creativity, other times we just need to like maybe focus on a task and get something done. And never, what's tough is sometimes we feel like one or the other is better, or that if we like felt like on top of the world one day and then the other day we're struggling, that like one is good and one is bad, when really that's not the case, right? It's all moving forward. It's all part of the human experience. And I don't know about you, but I think that some of the skills and tactics have allowed me to accept myself for that multi-passionate person. Love that. Yet give me a few skills like the GPS, like the 411, to be like, okay, let's take all these great ideas that I have and like the ping pong that is my mind sometimes of all these things that I'm passionate about, and put it down onto paper of like actual, like, this is the next step. This is the next goal. This is what I'm actually focusing on today, or putting it into my calendar to be like, what do I actually need to be focusing on? I think that helps in those days that we tend to like fluctuate in our moods and in our motivation and stuff.
Yes, exactly. Like the program gave me a mix of structure and also allowing me to be multi-passionate and to want to pursue multiple things. So both have been helpful, because you can't just have one and not the other. And that was another thing in coaching too, is like, just being allowed to be multi-passionate, being allowed to want to, like you saw my mission. I didn't want to give up one single part of my life to focus on. So like being allowed to do that, but then also having frameworks and ways to do that in a sustainable way, and ways to actually, and then also the accountability to get clear on what is it that I want to do? What are my goals and priorities for this year? What am I applying for the scholarship for? So those things helped too.
Is there anything that you can kind of reflect back on that you're like, I really feel like I've overcome something, or I've stepped into a new version of myself?
I think the biggest thing for me was I didn't even believe these parts of me were worth looking at or investing in or doing anything with. And so to have not only myself get there, but like a program invest in me and hear what I want to do with my life, what I'm interested in, and be like, yeah, you deserve this. You go and do this. Like, go, like helping me figure out what direction I want to take my life in, and supporting that, even if it doesn't look black and white or how I always thought it was supposed to look. That was a big one, because if I didn't have the support of you guys, I probably would have still felt like shy about even wanting to pursue these things, or, oh, maybe I'll learn about it, but I won't actually do anything with it. Or maybe I shouldn't, just because that's like kind of what I grew up with. So that was like everything pretty much. That was a big one for me, for sure.
That's so cool. And I think that, it can be overwhelming sometimes if you want to take a little bit of a non-traditional path, or if you do have lots of different passions that you're interested in. It's hard to like whittle that down into a career path or a way to make a living or something to pursue fully. And yeah, I think it can be overwhelming sometimes to be like, hey, I like all these things, but how am I going to make money at it? Or how am I going to make this my career? Or how am I actually going to put this out in the world in some kind of form that it makes sense to anyone outside of my head, kind of thing. And I think that, yeah, to your point, like Quantum Leap and going through coaching and everything helps you get that out, because there's so many other different paths that people can take, but it is a little bit more clear cut if someone's like, I'm interested in one subject, this is what I study in school, this is the degree I get, and then this is the job that I get. And even with that, there's so many decisions to make. But when you're trying to create something, what sounds like to me, you're trying to create something new and something really unique to you, that resonates with your life, that is something that only, and so you're starting really from scratch, but allowing yourself to be like, hey, that's okay, and I can do this, and other people have started new things before, and I can start something new. And it really is that removing of limiting beliefs that we talk about, of like, instead of being like, my life has to look this way or follow this path, my life can actually take this like winding road of colorfulness that would be more fulfilling.
Exactly. And it is that balance of being able to follow your dreams and doing the things that you didn't know you had permission to do, but also having that structure. And that's why I feel like my life specifically, having school and having, this like just stability and structure growing up, and then now like pulling in the parts of me that maybe I didn't let myself enjoy back then, having like allowing myself to pursue my passions, but also having that structure behind me has been helpful. And that's why KW, like being able to actually pursue real educational opportunities for these things is very helpful, because I want to do it. I don't want to just teach something I don't know much about, or like just be only on the passionate side and not really have the foundational knowledge that I need.
Yeah. Well, no, absolutely. That totally makes sense. And it's so honorable too, that you're like, I don't want to just step out in the world and just be making stuff up from scratch. Like, I want to have the way that it sounds like your parents raised you, of saying to have education and stuff. That seed is still growing in you, which is great to be like, hey, I want to even to get involved with KW Next Gen, right? You're like, I want all the details. I want all the information. Let me gather that up, then step into it. And if you approach that in other areas of your life and in your career, that's so great, because then you're actually gaining the tools to be really educated in the ways that you want to contribute to the world, and whatever that education is. Do you want to share a little bit more about like what you've used the scholarship for, and how that's influenced you?
Yeah. So I saved up my own money to invest in a health coaching course. So I did get certified on my own before I heard of KW. But then the first application, I used it for the board certification for that. So again, building more structure, building more credentials around things as well. And then I also used it, I'm trying to remember the first one. I used it on yoga teacher training. That was
I was thinking that, because you and I went back and forth a little bit about it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I used another one on a sales training. So my career was in like recruiting, and then I moved to sales, and I like kind of started over in a very entry-level sales role, and I wanted to grow in that role. So like having a certification for a specific sales methodology really helped me. And it actually did help me. I did get the role that I wanted, which is account executive. So that was like throughout that time. Thank you. And then the most recent one, and then I used it on coaches. So coaches that like entrepreneurial coaches that have built their social media, have built a brand, things like that, because that's really the scariest part for me, is putting myself out there and sharing what I've learned. It's always like tempting to just keep ingesting and learning more, and then like to actually share it. And now I feel like I have the tools, but the most recent one that I've applied for is a menstrual health coaching, or like a specifically menstrual health or women hormone health course. And that is my passion. That is like what got me into the holistic wellness in the first place, just because I've had my own experience with not understanding that. And I wish I knew more about it growing up, and I would love to teach people about it. But I want the actual knowledge on like, what do these terms mean? What does this mean? Like the scientific, I want to be able to add value if I do speak about it with people. So, and if I speak about it online, I want to be able to really understand it deeply. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Oh my goodness. That is so cool, because I mean, you're just gathering so many valuable tools to put into a toolbox and then use it in so many different ways. Like even when you were talking about like the sales training was for the position that you were in to then get promoted to the position that you wanted. And then you'll be able to use those skills as you begin to create something new and maybe something of your own and so on and so forth. And I'm like just cheering you on like crazy because I see a lot of parallels in what I did in my and it's just such a beautiful path to follow. But also, like a lot of times, those of us that are lifelong learners and curious about a lot of different things, gathering all these different certifications or these different modalities, again, could maybe be confusing to the outside world or whatever. Like if you just put those down on paper, I'd be like, I'm not sure exactly what path she's from here. True. But like, I always say that about my resume. I'm like, you look at my resume and we're like, what are we doing here? Like all over the place. And yet I can explain like the path that it went down and the very purposeful path that it has taken me on. And it sounds like you're doing the exact same thing. And one thing I did want to touch on is this is a great example of applying for the scholarship. Again, like we're funded by donors. We don't always have unlimited funding. I hope we do. Anyone that's listening to this podcast, please donate so that we can have more and more funds to give out as scholarships. We would love to have unlimited funds. And though you can apply as many times as you want to until you reach a $10,000 mark or you turn 30. And so what's cool is like if there is a coaching that you want to do and it's say, $1,000, a couple $1,000, you can apply for the scholarship and use it for that. And then if there's a different training that you want to do or a conference you want to go to and it's another say, $800, $1,200, you can apply and do that. You don't always have to pick like one place to apply for funds. And I think that's the misconception. Sometimes people think one, that they have to apply a scholarship to just a university or a college and that's it, which is definitely not the case. And as you explained so beautifully, it can be for a lot of different things. And you can also apply multiple different times and get awarded multiple different times for different things because we know that that's our entire mission is to grow the next entrepreneurs and leaders of tomorrow. We'll know that your all's path are going to take a little bit of a winding road to get there because it may not follow one traditional straight arrow, which is so cool. But oh my goodness, we do not have enough hours in this podcast for you and I to just chat about all the things because I feel like you and I could be just best friends about like, I have a women's health certification as well. And I'm really nice about it too because of my own journey. And just as you were speaking, I was like, is she telling my story? This is so cool. But no, it's your story.
That's awesome.
Similarity.
I love that. And I also love that you guys didn't question me when I was applying for different things because it's making more sense to me now how they all connect in that like sort of entrepreneurial path, but with the focus on the wellness and business and things like that. But it didn't fully make sense at the time, I think, or maybe when I was starting, or maybe to you guys, it didn't make sense. So I appreciate you investing, even though it is a winding, interesting journey.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that we never know where we're going fully. Like, yes, we can set a goal or like all the things, right? We know. And to have a direction where we're headed, that's important. But a lot of times though, it's only hindsight that shows how the pieces fit together. There's a lot of things that I did that I was like, oh, I did that very purposefully because I went that direction, but I had no idea it was actually leading me to this other direction or that it would reveal a new interest or a new relationship or whatever that then took me down another path. And that's the beauty of life, right? Is to like continue to grow and to continue to evolve and to let those new things uncover themselves as we pursue our mission.
I love that.
So is there any advice that you would give first to someone in their 20s? Maybe they were Tamina, a few years ago, and they're like, what is this KW Next Gen thing? And why should I get involved? Would you have any advice for them?
Definitely get involved. That's my number one advice. Even if like you didn't get awarded the funds, to be able to have the experience of getting clear on what it is that you want to do with your life. Like there's not just one way to achieve that. So I think it's worth going through the program and just like being able to sit down and write out what it is that you are passionate about, interested in. And then also with the coaching sessions as well, that was immensely valuable. I mean, coaching sessions are like extremely expensive. So to have just like a free career coach that's just helping you with your life and everything is valuable. Even if I didn't ever get awarded the funds, like the whole process would have been extremely valuable. And I think it's better. I'm grateful that I was able to get clear on these things in my 20s, because I know I wouldn't have without this program. It would have taken longer. So the accountability part is everything as well. So definitely recommend that. And then for people in their 30s, you asked about the...
Okay. People over 30, what would you tell them?
Over 30. Yeah, I mean, whether you have had someone take a chance on you or have not, I'm sure you probably wish that you did, in your 20s or earlier, just because it does take time. Like I said, I probably wouldn't have figured this out till like my 40s, if not for this program. So just investing in youth is so important, and investing in people, the right people and good people, figuring out what they want to do with life and helping them become successful helps everyone. I think we want the right people to be doing things in this world. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And when you said like take a chance on someone, like, whether someone is an instructor and hosts one of our classes, or if they're one of our coaches, or if they donate, $5, $10, you're taking a chance on someone. You're a great example of someone that wants to expand their life, that wants to make the world a better place, that wants to, it's that ripple effect that is endless, and it's so beautiful. And like, that's just good advice for those of us that are over 30, that is like, hey, take a chance on like some person like the generation before you, or even just a few years younger than you, to be able to pursue their dreams. Because the more good that's in the world, the more good, right? There is no like cap on that. Yeah. And I also like what you said about those under 30, of just to get involved and just to understand, because putting down on paper or to ask yourself the important questions early on is priceless. And that's truly where that's where KW Next Gen came from, was that people were learning this material, but they were learning it in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they were saying, man, if only I knew this sooner. And you all are having the opportunity to learn it sooner, and then be able to make an even larger impact on your life and the world at large because of it, which is really beautiful, which is why I love, being a part of it.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. Exactly. Thank you guys so much for everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tamina, so much for being here today. Again, I feel like you and I could do our whole...
I know.
We have a whole wellness podcast and a different platform in our future, or something like that, or a collaboration of sorts, which is so cool. That's exactly the whole point of like creating these relationships and these connections, because you never know who you might meet, who you might chat with, that you could have something in common with, or you could learn and grow from. So I just appreciate you so much, and I appreciate your time. And I'm so glad that you're part of the KW Next Gen community. I'm always here for you. Our team is always here for you. And anything else you want to share before we jump off?
No, thank you as well. Thank you. I know you've been with me throughout the entire, my first application process. Kaitlyn has been emailing me, helping me with the admin stuff. So thank you. I appreciate your support. And I do have a million questions for you, but another time.
Perfect. Well, where to find.
Thank you to this whole program. You guys, it's changed my life. So thank you guys so much for investing in me and believing in me.
I'm so glad. And I just know you're going to go on to change so many additional lives. And I think that's just the entire point, is that just any little bit that we can uplift each other and that we can impact each other, then that just means that the impact is going to double and triple and quadruple out beyond you. So yes, this is not the last time you and I are going to chat. I know that. And it's definitely not the last that any listener is going to hear from you and see, all that you do in the world. So we're excited to be on this journey with you. And thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you so much for joining for this episode of the KW Next Gen podcast. We hope that maybe your interest was piqued to attend a class or get more involved. If you're between the ages of 18 and 29, we would love to have you in a Quantum Leap class. So go to our website, kwnextgen.org, and click events. Find maybe an event in person near you or an event online. They're always being added, so check back if you don't see one that fits your schedule. And if you're beyond 30, we would absolutely appreciate you considering being a donor. KW Next Gen cannot provide these events, coaching, or scholarships without generous donations like yours. So again, visit our website at kwnextgen.org and click donate. If you become a monthly donor, you get great perks, or a one-time gift is always appreciated of any size. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time. This podcast is for general information purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not KW NextGen and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This product is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information.